So building muscle can be a struggle for a lot of people, a lot of people. I mean, when you consider your schedule and then you got maybe family or home responsibilities, kids, partners, things like that. You got a social life, finances, work, and then how do you even feel? All of those things are going to impact how well you can build muscle, how often you can get to the gym, et cetera, et cetera. But there are a small group of people that stay small. They're considered hard gainers. And maybe you are a hard gainer. You'll know if you're a hard gainer because you feel like you have been spinning your wheels in the gym and you're not gaining weight. Maybe you feel like you've been eating all of the food, spending all of your money on protein powders or even weight gainers, and you haven't gained any weight. And matter of fact, you probably lost weight. You'll know you're a hard gainer because people around you often tell you how lucky you are for being able to eat whatever you want and not gain any weight. Meanwhile, you want to put on weight. If that's you, then hey, listen on. If you know somebody like this, let them know so they can listen on. My name is Chris, and I'm going to give you a little bit of story about myself, but also coming from the coaching background where I've talked to a bunch of other clients that can call themselves hard gainers. And once we fixed a few things about how they were moving and doing life, well, all of a sudden they went from being a hard gainer to actually just building quality muscle with a little bit of extra work. I've been doing this for a little while, but more importantly, I have grown up as that hard gainer. I was the kid that I felt like I could eat all of the food. I could eat a bag of Oreos and I'd lose 5 pounds. Meanwhile, the people around me were complaining about gaining weight because they had a salad. I understand that life of being a hard gainer just like everybody else. And I will share with you 3 tips that I've learned along the way that have helped me to go from being a hard gainer to just, it's a little bit of a challenge and I just need to figure some things out. So let's get into this with a quick story about myself. I'm going to spare you all the details and we'll just hit the highlights. Like I said, I was a kid that I could eat all of the food, not gain any weight. I felt like I was doing all the things. I was working out and I was eating and I was sleeping. This continued on into my 20s. And this is where the story will pick up, where I was 27, about to be 28, going to basic training for the Army, weighing in at 171 pounds at 6'2". Now, I was considered lean, but I felt like I was skinny. And this is when I came to my first revelation. I was moving too much. See, before I joined the Army, I was super active. I mean, I was in 5 different basketball leagues, meaning every week I had 5 different basketball games that I was playing. But I was also playing in my free time while working a full-time job and had kids and playing with those kids, and they were boys, so we played and we roughhoused a lot. I was moving all the time, constantly. My first tip to you is look at the movement you're doing and try to reduce the unnecessary stuff. Did I need to be in 5 different basketball leagues at once? No. I could have moved it down to 1 like a normal person. Yeah, sure, I enjoy basketball, but if my goal was to gain weight, playing in 5 different leagues was not going to do me any favors. So look around in your life and figure out what things can you do to reduce the amount of calories you're burning constantly. Now, while I was going through this process of trying to gain weight, I thought that I was doing the right thing in terms of eating by being hyper-focused on my protein intake. Like I said, I went through tubs of protein powder and even got to the point where I was taking those weight gainers, and I actually ended up losing a pound. Now, I know some people will hear that and be like, lucky you. But again, when you're trying to gain weight, you don't feel so lucky. This doesn't mean that protein is not important. On the contrary, you absolutely need to make sure you're getting sufficient protein, but it's not the main nutrient. Or better yet, it's not the only nutrient that you need to be focused on. You should also be focused on getting sufficient fats and carbs. And that's going to be your best places to get into a slight surplus. Now, notice I say a slight surplus. You don't need to be slamming 4,000 calories a day if your maintenance is at, 2,500. You just need to be in a slight surplus. And I tell people about 10% above what your maintenance level is, and then work from there. See, with gaining weight, you don't want to put on a whole bunch of body fat, because gaining weight is more about gaining muscle for most people. Again, if you are a true hard gainer, you're really going to have to ramp up the amount of calories you're eating. But start small. The entire journey of the gym and fitness and muscle and bodybuilding is about the minimum effective dose. That means doing only what you need to get the best results you can. And that does not mean just throwing haymakers and eating all of the calories and doing all of the reps. And more is not always better. Limiting the amount of oats and potatoes that you're eating, and increase the amount of rice and other simple carbs that you can consume. Get enough fiber that your system keeps moving regularly, but don't overdo it, because fiber will make you full, and you do not need to get full. Now, before I give you my last tip, let me invite you to come to my Instagram page at Better Each Day Fitness, and you can follow along on my own bulking cycle. I currently finished up my second week, so if you get over there ASAP, you'll be able to see a lot of what I'm talking about and a lot of the fundamental things that I'm going through, so you can see what I do in order to put weight on. So when I first got into the gym, I had no clue what I was doing, just like everybody else. And I had a friend of mine showing me how to do certain workouts. And since I didn't know what I was doing, I was just following along. And when he wasn't there to help, well, I had to kind of guess and do what I thought was good. But really, what did that mean? It didn't have any value. I was just moving. And as I've gotten older in the gym, I've learned how to lift a little bit better every time I go into the gym. I've become more efficient with what I'm doing. I no longer just do all of the exercises on chest day. I pick the ones that work the best and that give me the best stimulus. And that's why my last point is going to be lift better. First of all, you probably haven't made a plan for yourself. You're maybe following somebody else's plan, or worse, you're just guessing every time you go in the gym, and you're just doing whatever is available. Building muscle is kind of like building a house. You have to have a plan. You have to have a vision for what you're doing. I know that Instagram and social media in general is just filled with all of these new, cool looking workouts. But those things are just that. They're new and cool looking, and they do not stand the test of time. Squat, bench, and deadlift are movements that every person does in their daily life. And so it makes sense to get better at those things. I'm not telling you that everybody should be bench pressing, but some type of pressing movement is good. Same thing with deadlift and squat variations. Doing those movements tend to activate the most muscle on your body, which gives you a better chance to grow more muscle. Look, the name of the game is consistency and hard work, but a little bit of intelligence also helps get you there a little bit easier with a lot less banging of the head on the wall. Now, if you enjoyed this video, I'd welcome you to continue watching, as I'll put a link here to the next video that I think would work perfect for you.